The landscape is vast, a sprawling organic metropolis pulsating with rhythm and life. It looks peaceful from a distance, a seamless wall of tissue acting as the ultimate border patrol. But peace is fragile here. The surface tension breaks. A jagged rift tears open the sky of this microscopic world. The barrier is breached. The silence ends instantly. A chaotic flood of debris crashes through the opening. Riding the wave of destruction comes the enemy. They look like jagged, thorny capsules buzzing with malicious energy. These are not aimless drifters. They are the invaders. The swarm moves with a terrifying hive mind, instantly latching onto the healthy tissue walls. They do not wait. They begin to multiply, cloning themselves in bursts of toxic green light. The local cells, the civilians of the city, begin to wither as the invaders release their chemical poison. The turf is being claimed. The infection has started. But the city is not undefended. The alarm bells ring out, silent to the ear but deafening to the chemical senses of the guardians. The signal travels fast through the fluid highways. The scent of danger hangs heavy in the environment. From the shadows of the bloodstream, the first responders arrive. They are the pale warriors, the translucent defenders known as neutrophils. They do not march, they flow. They are shapeshifters, rapidly changing form to squeeze through the tight gaps in the tissue walls. They hit the battlefield like a chaotic strike force. There is no strategy meetings, just immediate, frantic violence. One pale warrior lunges at a cluster of invaders. The defender is amorphous, a glowing blob of pure aggression. It slams into the jagged bacteria. The contact is visceral. The defender does not punch, it engulfs. The membrane of the white cell stretches out like liquid arms, wrapping around the struggling invader. The bacteria fights, vibrating and releasing toxins, but the grip is ironclad. The pale warrior pulls the enemy inside its own body. Once trapped within that translucent prison, the digestion begins. The invader dissolves into nothingness, stripped apart atom by atom. More defenders pour into the breach. The scene turns into a chaotic mosh pit. It is a frenzy of movement. The invaders are fast, darting between the tissue fibers, trying to outrun the shape-shifting giants. But the defenders are relentless. They spray toxic granules, a chemical barrage that melts the protective coats of the bacteria. The battlefield becomes a soup of enzymes and wreckage. The fight escalates. The invaders are cloning faster than the first responders can kill them. The initial wave of defenders is getting overwhelmed. Some of the pale warriors overheat from the intensity of the battle. They explode in a sacrificial burst, creating a sticky net of DNA that traps nearby enemies like flies in a spider's web. It is a suicide mission, and they execute it without hesitation. The pile of debris grows. Then the ground shakes. The heavy artillery has arrived. The macrophage enters the fray. This entity is massive, dwarfing the frantic neutrophils. It moves with a slow, terrifying purpose. It is the tank of this war zone. It does not chase, it dominates. The massive guardian extends pseudopods, long tentacle-like projections that sweep across the battlefield. It grabs 5, 10, a dozen invaders at once. There is no contest. The massive cell pulls them all into its maw, grinding them down with industrial efficiency. The macrophage crawls over the debris, cleaning the mess while hunting the living. It sends out new signals, chemical flares lighting up the area to guide more reinforcements. The communication is seamless. No words are spoken, yet the coordination is perfect. Despite the heavy hits, the enemy swarm is resilient. They retreat deeper into the tissue, trying to hide in the crevices, trying to find the stronghold to establish a colony. They form a biofilm, a slimy shield that deflects the chemical attacks. The defenders surround the shield, probing for weaknesses. It is a siege now. The battle shifts gears. The adaptive units arrive. These are not the brute force brawlers. These are the precision snipers. The T-cells drift into the zone. They scan the battlefield with cold calculation. They interact with the macrophage, reading the intel from the digested enemies. They identify the specific signature of this invasion. They lock on. The T-cells move in. They do not indiscriminately attack. They target the infected cells, the civilians that have been compromised. The T-cell latches onto a sick cell. It delivers the kiss of death, a direct injection of enzymes that orders the infected cell to self-destruct. The infected cell implodes neatly, taking the hiding invaders down with it. It is a controlled demolition. Meanwhile, the B cells stay back, acting as the artillery support. They begin manufacturing weapons on the fly. Millions of Y-shaped proteins flood the zone. These are the antibodies. They fly through the fluid like heat-seeking missiles. They slam into the invaders, gumming up their jagged spikes, neutralizing their toxins and marking them with a glowing beacon that screams, "Eat me," to the heavy tanks. The tide turns. The invaders are tagged, trapped, and outgunned. The swarm, once a coordinated army, is now a panicked mob. The antibodies have glued them together into helpless clumps. The macrophages sweep through these clumps, devouring them in huge, satisfying gulps. The pale warriors hunt down the stragglers. There is no quarter given. Every single trace of the enemy must be erased. The battlefield is littered with the aftermath. The glowing debris of the war fades. The chemical alarms quiet down. The breach in the sky begins to knit itself back together as the repair crews, the platelets and fibroblasts, start their work. They weave new fibers, sealing the rift. The heavy tanks, the macrophages, remain behind. They patrol the quiet ruins, consuming the dead bodies of the fallen friends and foes alike. They scrub the environment clean, restoring the pristine order of the city. The pale warriors that survived drift back into the bloodstream, returning to the patrol, waiting for the next alarm. The massive entity slows its movement, settling back into a dormant state. The threat is gone. The city hums back to life. The rhythm returns. The border is secure once again. The war is over, but the army never sleeps. They drift in the darkness of the veins, glowing softly, ready for the next breach, ready to kill again.